Good morning, Soil-Born friends. I know we've talked a little bit about Watershed in this unit or in this adventure you've been taking at Soil-Born. Now I'm going to show you how to do your own experiment at home, building a watershed model. The great thing is there's only a few materials you need. So you will need a spray bottle with some water in it, maybe 2 or 3 if you're going to do this with your siblings. You should gather some soil and rocks, potentially also some small pieces of wood or other items from the natural landscape in your yard or at a park. And you'll want 1 cookie tray or something hard that you can put it on. Just remember it is going to get sort of dirty. So I'm going to show you how to build this watershed model using these materials and then how we're going to use it to do some experiments. So for this experiment, you will only need a couple simple things. You will want to have some sort of spray bottle with just water in it, maybe a couple if you're going to do this with your siblings. You want a nice hard tray or cake pan or something that can contain your watershed model. It is going to get dirty. And finally, you're going to gather some soil, some rocks, maybe a few little leaves or small sticks, and if you need a little shovel to do it, but you can also just use your hands. So we're going to use these materials and I'm going to show you how to build the model and then how we're going to use it for some experiments.
Give one quick little explanation.
All right, so I've started my model. It might be more extensive than this when you do it, but I just want to show you a couple things you need to be sure to include. One is that a watershed does always have a mountain. So I sort of created this set of mountains in my model. And then of course it's going to run down, the water is going to run down when it hits the mountain, and you will often have what starts to form either a creek or a river in a little valley. You might have some areas on either side of that that are farmland or grassland or open space. So I've started to do that. Now I may have a couple rivers in here, or I could have some other things that I want to include, like a bridge or, something. That's really up to you, how detailed you get. You notice I started to put some sticks in that might represent trees that are on the hill. And then of course you can use rocks however you want to. Maybe you have a really rocky landscape, maybe you have a really dusty landscape. So you're gonna start with this. There. Just kind of film over. Ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've seen now how the rain and the gullies that have been formed from the rain and some of the rivers that have been formed. Do you notice there's this erosion that has happened also from the rain carrying the soil and other minerals, and it did split off into 2, so that was interesting to see. Now we're going to do one more little experiment with this, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to create your own watershed model and also try to solve a few of the challenges that we may experience in this model. Okay, so we're going to pretend this is our farmland, and oftentimes farmers will put on some sort of inorganic fertilizer, not Soil-Born Farms, or some pesticides to keep certain pests away. By the way, I just used some drink powder. You can use anything you want to that represents a different color that you might have at home, something easy to sprinkle on. And then we're going to see when it rains, what happens if on the field it's actually raining. So at first it seems just fine. The pesticides or the fertilizer are just staying at the farm. But you'll notice something is happening in the river below. Now you see the pollution traveling right into the water stream. If we are Sacramento, and let's just say you live right by the river, what kind of water or how are you going to be affected by this pesticide or some sort of fertilizer? And also imagine all those salmon we were talking about that run up the river. How are they going to survive in the midst of all that added chemical in the river water? So we have some things to solve here through our watershed. I'm going to take a moment for you to think about it, and then I'm going to pose some questions. So I've set this up for you guys, but I think you can have a really fun time doing a variety of things with this, and I want to pose some questions to you. First of all, what are some things that we do to maybe our mountains or our natural landscape that might increase erosion? What are some things that we could do to the natural landscape that might help to stop the erosion? And can you try it and demonstrate it in your model? How could we protect the river water that's coming down so that it doesn't carry chemicals or anything poisonous or pesticides or any kind of pollution? And then the last thing would be, what happens out here in this area where the water comes out, which is called the delta? You guys hear that bird? Maybe that scrub jay is upset I'm doing this. And how can we protect the waters that are out in the delta as well? So you're thinking about all the different aspects of this watershed, what you can build into it, and how that would translate to our current sort of watershed, what we can do to protect it. So good luck.